everybody! We wanted to start with this video because some people believe that math is so boring or they feel complicated while they are listening math lessons or trying to solve mathematical problems. Because of these conditions, they don't want to use maths in their daily lives. But math is more than mathematical operations. Mathematics describes our life and the universe. In this video, we try to tell how true that is. Enjoy the video.
Mathematics is most beautiful and most powerful creation of the human spirit.
Mathematics is a place where you can do things which you can't do in the real world.
Mathematics requires overcoming general judgments, increase our ability to interrogate. It allows us to lead new ideas. As long as it is the mathematics, there is no problem that cannot be solved in the universe.
The other one here, keeping the same proportion. Good, very good. Now tie this end to that torch. Aspasius, I want you to imagine that this is the Earth, and that each of these flames represent the two extreme positions of the sun in relation to it, in winter and in summer. What would happen if both these positions were the two centers of one and the same circle?
But it isn't possible, mistress.
Wait, what do we know about a circle? We know that the center of a circle is always the same distance from any point along its perimeter.
Exactly.
Yes, so what if I divide this center into two, but what I keep constant is the sum of their two distances to the perimeter? Oh, all right, look, I'll show you. Watch. As I move this rod along the cord, as one segment increases, the other segment decreases, and vice versa. Therefore, the sum of the two is always going to be constant. Do you see that? Now, what if we apply this to the movement of the Earth. What figure will we obtain? An ellipse! With the sun at one of its foci. Because what is a circle except a very special ellipse?
Numbers are the most important component of mathematics. We can see numbers in various areas of our life. At this scene, you can witness how we can crack codes with the help of intelligence and mathematics.
Ever just know something, Dr. Nash?
Constantly.
We've developed several ciphers. If you'd like to review our preliminary data. Doctor?
6737 0316 39 034. I need a map.
We have no doubt that mathematics is the irreplaceable piece of our lives. We are using mathematics to calculate, to measure something, and to make plans. At this scene, mathematics is being used to create an intelligent plan for a defense of a country and to solve the mystery of a machine.
Ah, Turing. A mathematician.
Correct.
However could I have guessed?
Didn't you just read it on that piece of paper?
King's College, Cambridge. Now, it says here you were a bit of a prodigy in the maths department.
I'm not sure I can evaluate that, Mr.
How old are you, Mr. Turing?
27.
And how old were you when you became a fellow at Cambridge?
24.
And how old were you when you published this paper that has a title I can barely understand?
23.
Then you don't think that qualifies you as a certified prodigy?
Well, Newton discovered binomial theorem aged 22. Einstein wrote 4 papers that changed the world by the age of 26. As far as I can tell, I've barely made par.
My God, you're serious.
Would you prefer I made a joke?
No, I don't think you know what those are.
Hardly seems fair that that's a requirement for employment here, Mr.
Commander Denniston, Royal Navy. All right, Mr. Turing, I'll bite. Why do you wish to work for His Majesty's government?
Oh, I don't really.
Are you a bleeding pacifist?
I'm agnostic about violence.
But you do realize that 600 miles away from London there's this nasty little chap called Hitler who wants to engulf Europe in tyranny.
Politics isn't really my area of expertise.
Really? Well, I believe you just set the record for the shortest job interview in British military history.
Oh, Mother says I can be off-putting sometimes on account of being one of the best mathematicians in the world.
In the world?
Oh, yes.
Do you know how many people I've rejected for this program?
No.
Well, that's right, because we're a top-secret program. But I'll tell you, just because we're friends, that only last week I rejected one of our great nation's top linguists. Knows German better than Bertolt Brecht.
I don't speak German.
What?
I don't speak German.
Now, how the hell were you supposed to decrypt German communications if you don't, I don't know, speak German?
Well, I'm really quite excellent at crossword puzzles.
Margaret!
The German codes are a puzzle, a game, just like any other game. I'm really very good at games, puzzles, and this is the most difficult puzzle in the world.
Margaret! For the love of God. This is a joke, obviously.
I'm afraid I don't know what those are, Commander Denniston.
Have a pleasant trip back to Cambridge, Professor.
Enigma.
You called for me?
Golden ratio is a transform from math to aesthetics, and the real reason of liking something is actually the mathematical ratio, which is called the golden ratio. And we have this ratio for our bodies too, from eyes to hands. We are formed with math.
What Pythagoras realized is that plants and animals grow according to fairly precise mathematical laws. It's not just chance that flowers unfold in beautiful patterns, and the Greeks found the patterns were based on a particular geometrical ratio. But it wasn't until the Renaissance that an Italian did the maths. He figured out that the key to beauty was the ratio of 1 to 1.618. Do something like measure the distance from the floor to your navel, and then from your navel to your head. If you're well proportioned, the ratio should be 1 to 1.618, and that ratio is seen all over the beautiful body.
People started noticing it. Artists noticed it, the width of the mouth in a beautiful face, for example.
Yeah?
Not in any face, but it had to be beautiful. If a face was beautiful, the width of the mouth was exactly 1.618 times the width of the nose.
Really?
If the face wasn't beautiful, that wasn't the case. Dentists,
Yeah?
in their dental work, noticed that the upper front tooth was 1.618 times as wide as the next tooth over, the lateral incisor.
Oh.
So the central incisor was 1.618 times the width of the lateral incisor, the next tooth over.
Wonderful. Give me some more examples.
Your fingers, your fingers are each called phalanges, and each bone in the finger is called a phalanx. And the phalanx that's the closest to your knuckle here is 1.618 times the phalanx that's in the middle, and that's 1.618 times the length of the phalanx at the end, which is your fingernail. So that was kind of amazing. This number would come up over and over again. This is what's called a golden divider. It divides different line areas or distances from into 1 and 1.618, which is the golden ratio. And in a beautiful face, we'll see that ordinarily the width of the mouth is 1.618 times the width of the nose. And it does in Zara, exactly. If we look at the teeth, we can see that ordinarily, show me your teeth and smile a little bit. The width of the upper front tooth is 1.618 times the width of the tooth right next to it, and the same on the other side. The width of the upper front tooth is 1.618 times the tooth next to it. It's amazing how this proportion is repeated over and over again on a beautiful face. And the same thing with Zara. If I do the width of her mouth, I'm sorry. No, it's a bit again. I'm a surgeon. I'm used to sharp things. I hardly ever cut myself. Okay, so if I do the width of her mouth to the width of her face, the camera should be able to see that the width of the mouth is 1.618 times the distance from the mouth to the corner of the cheek.
And it is.
If you use your mathematical knowledge instead of being emotional in a riddling moment, you won't hesitate. And if you don't hesitate, you will be successful in every confusing moment. Mathematics won't bring you down if you trust yourself.
Mathematics and language are two active systems that complement each other. For example, we start from 0 to everything, but everything doesn't end at 9. And look at the alphabet. It starts at A and ends Z. Enough writing to tell us our thoughts. Mathematics is must to tell the existence. Mathematics is also a poem because poetry requires mathematical thinking for rhymes. Also, mathematics requires the imagination. Only difference is, mathematics decoration is numbers, not words. Carl Weierstrass says, a mathematician who is not also something of poet will never be a complete mathematician.
A dozen, a gross, and a score plus 3 times the square root of 4 divided by 7 plus 5 times 11 is 9 squared and not a bit more.
Mathematics, rightly viewed, possesses not only truth, but supreme beauty, a beauty called an austere, without the gorgeous trappings of painting or music, said Bernard Russell. For example, opening the lights is so easy, but there is complicated maths on it. There are same situation in the games we played and the snowflakes. We can explain them with mathematics fully.
There's nothing you could do that would be this embarrassing.
Mathematics is not just a discipline, it's more than that. It's a lifestyle of ours. We can adopt and perceive it with each aspect of our lives because it evolves all of the situations in the world. We can use it when we express our emotions, our feelings, our daily works. If we put mathematics into our lives, we could even explain our loneliness with it.
I fear that I will always be a lonely number like root 3. A 3 is all that's good and right. Why must my 3 keep out of sight, beneath a vicious square root sign? I wish instead I were a 9, for 9 could thwart this evil trick with just some quick arithmetic. I know I'll never see the sun as 1.7321.
You fucking tool. Quiet, Anus.
Such is my reality, a sad irrationality. When hark, just what is this I see? Another square root of a 3 has quietly come waltzing by. Together now we multiply and form a number we prefer, rejoicing as an integer. We break free from our mortal bonds, and with a wave of magic wands, our square root signs become unglued, and love for me has been renewed.